World of Warcraft, a game that started as a risky gamble and ended up being the most successful MMO ever. You're going to learn how it made over $2.5 billion, what made it so popular, and why it still holds a special place in gamers' hearts. Let's get started.
In the fiery night, shadows rise beneath the pale moonlight. Marching drums, the earth it shakes. A hero stands, the world at stake. Storms are screaming, skies ignite. Will you fall or will you fight? Heroes rise as their oath calls. Through the storm, break the walls. Stand your ground, heed the oath, for the light or shadows grow. Winds howl across the shattered plains. Warriors bleed but feel no pain. Ancient powers, whispers deep, a secret kept that none shall keep. Flames are roaring, time won't wait. Take your swing or meet your...
Let's start at the beginning. Back in the early 2000s, the MMORPG genre wasn't exactly the big moneymaker it is today. Games like Ultima Online, EverQuest, and Dark Age of Camelot were out there, but they had their issues: high prices, poor customer support, and a steep learning curve. That's where World of Warcraft came in. But before we talk about the game itself, let's go back even further. Back in 1994, Blizzard Entertainment, then known as Silicon and Synapse, released Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. It was a strategy game, not an RPG, but the team saw potential. Fast forward to 1998, they released Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness. Still not an RPG, but the world building was getting better. Then came Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos in 2002. That's when things really started to change. In 2003, Blizzard announced World of Warcraft. The name alone was a bold move. It was a direct sequel to Warcraft, but instead of a real-time strategy game, it was an MMORPG. That's a huge shift. And the timing? Not great. The market was saturated with other MMORPGs, and many people thought it would fail. But here's the thing. Blizzard had already built a massive fan base with Warcraft and StarCraft. They knew their audience. The initial beta test for World of Warcraft began in January 2004. Just 30,000 players got access. It's like a secret club for gamers who are already cool. That's not a lot, but it was enough to prove that the concept worked. By May 2004, the full game launched on November 23, 2004. It cost $15 for the base game and $15 per month for the subscription. That was a lot of money back then, but it didn't stop people from buying it. By the end of 2004, World of Warcraft had over 1 million subscribers. I had 8 million friends, but they were all in-game. That was a huge number for an MMORPG at the time. And by 2005, it hit 2 million. By 2006, it was 4 million. And by 2007, it had reached 8 million active players. That's more than any other MMORPG in history. Fun fact, the original Warcraft game had a character named Thrall. He was the leader of the Orcs. In World of Warcraft, he becomes the main character. It's a nice nod to the past. Now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about why World of Warcraft became so popular. There are several reasons, some obvious, some less so. First off, the game was easy to pick up. Unlike EverQuest, which required you to grind for hours just to get a decent weapon, this is what happiness looks like. World of Warcraft had a much smoother progression system. You could level up faster, explore more, and actually have fun without feeling like you were being punished for playing. Second, the game had a strong community. Blizzard made sure that the game was social. You couldn't just play alone. You needed to group up, raid, and do dungeons. I live in Azeroth. My real life is just a side quest. That created a sense of belonging. People didn't just play the game, they lived in it. Third, the game had a flexible class system. You could be a warrior, a mage, a priest, a hunter, or a rogue. Each class had unique abilities and playstyles. I could be a tank in one build and a damage dealer in another. I'm like a superhero, but with less capes. That gave players a lot of freedom to choose how they wanted to play. Did you know that the first expansion, the Burning Crusade, added 2 new races, the Blood Elves and the Draenei, and introduced the concept of dual-spec characters that allowed players to switch between different builds on the fly? It was a game changer. And finally, the game was just plain fun. It had a beautiful world, engaging quests, and a rewarding experience. It was the kind of game that kept you coming back, even after you finished the main story. Now, let's get to the meat of it, the financial side. World of Warcraft wasn't just a hit, it was a cash cow. So how much did it make? Let's break it down year by year. Here's the breakdown of World of Warcraft's revenue from 2004 to 2025. These numbers are based on official reports, analyst estimates, and third-party sources like Sensor Tower and Statista. 2004 to 2010, $2, $9 billion. 2011 to 2020, $6.8 billion. 2021 to 2025, $3.4 billion. Now, these numbers might seem low compared to today's standards, but keep in mind, this is the total revenue from subscriptions and in-game purchases. World of Warcraft was primarily a subscription-based game. Players paid $15 per month to play. That's a steady, predictable income stream. Over the years, Blizzard added expansions. The Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Legion, and Battle for Azeroth, each of which brought in millions of dollars in sales. These expansions were priced at around $30 to $40 each, and they sold millions of copies. Did you know that Wrath of the Lich King sold over 10 million copies worldwide? That's more than any other expansion in the history of gaming. But it's not just the game sales that made World of Warcraft a financial powerhouse. Let's talk about the business model. So, how did World of Warcraft make so much money? The answer is simple: a combination of subscription fees, expansion sales, and in-game microtransactions. For the first decade, World of Warcraft was a pure subscription game. Players paid $15 per month to access the game. That was the main source of revenue. But in 2010, Blizzard introduced the Battle.net platform, which allowed for digital distribution and in-game purchases. In 2013, Blizzard launched the in-game store, where players could buy cosmetic items, mounts, and other virtual goods. While these weren't the main source of revenue, they helped boost player engagement and spending. Let's be honest. If you played World of Warcraft, you've probably bought at least one mount, or maybe a pet, or a title. These little things add up. Today, World of Warcraft generates around $675 million annually, mostly through subscriptions. Even though the player base has declined slightly over the years, the game still has a loyal following. And with the upcoming Dragonflight expansion, it's possible that the numbers will increase again. To wrap it up, World of Warcraft is one of the most successful games in history. It started as a risky experiment, but it turned into a global phenomenon. It made over $2.5 billion since 2004, and it continues to generate hundreds of millions every year. It was a game that changed the way we think about online multiplayer, and it still holds a special place in the hearts of millions of players. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. I'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of gaming. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.